That Mitchell and Webb sound, starring David Mitchell and Robert Webb, with Olivia Colman and James Barkman.
Oh, and that's a bad miss.
And Mike Sylvester will be annoyed with himself at missing that blue, but he should have enough points in hand to clinch the frame.
And indeed, Lawrence Caswell has conceded the frame, which was the only sensible thing to do at that point. It wasn't in any sense feeble, weak, or namby-pamby. He's a determined young snooker player, whatever anyone says.
I think I know what you're getting at, Ted. Let's just come right out and say it. This is a bit of a first for a quarter-final here at the Crucible, in that Lawrence Caswell, and indeed his opponent, Mike Sylvester, are both, with the best will in the world, queer.
I don't know if that's quite the PC term.
It is, Ted. I've checked.
Well, I'm going to call them homos to be on the safe side.
And as Mike Sylvester bends over to break off, what do you think, Ted, will be going through his opponent's mind?
I can't say that, can I?
Are there any particular pieces that have caught your attention, sir?
Well, I like this Picasso print. It is Picasso, isn't it?
That's right, sir.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, how do I get it to look like you've got it?
I'm sorry, sir.
Well, I'm looking at it, and I'm just imagining it in my new flat, and I suppose what I'm really wondering is, how do you get it to be on the wall?
Well, it's not heavy. It doesn't have any special hanging requirements.
Yeah, no, but I'm just thinking, it's there on your wall, and then I give you my Visa card and take it home to my wall, but then all I can imagine doing is putting it on the floor, or, against the wall, but at floor level.
Right.
I mean, you say it's not heavy, but blue tack just isn't going to do it, is it?
Well, no.
It's just, I don't understand how to get it to stick to the wall. So my girlfriend used to handle this sort of stuff, and we've split up. I've just got this terrible fear it's going to involve tools.
Well, it depends on how you plan to hang it.
Yeah, you see, I just don't have a plan, Nobody's ever taken me through this stuff. I don't know how to do it on my own, or where to buy things. I was thinking maybe you could give me a nail, and then I could buy a book and bash it in with that. But what if I hit a pipe or a cable? Then I'd have to phone people, and I don't know who to phone. And I might have to deal with workmen instead of pretending to read a magazine and letting Carla sort it out.
Sounds like you're having a bit of a difficult time, sir.
I am, really, yes. I mean, do you know anything about how to make a new washing machine have water in it?
It needs to be plumbed in.
Plumbed in, oh God. And getting it delivered was last week's triumph. Seems a bit of a hollow victory now. You see, I have terrible trouble getting things delivered because I don't know the postcode of my new flat or how to find it out. And the buzzers stopped working, and God knows who you phone about that.
I can't really help you there.
No, well, I'd better buy the picture. My new flat is so terribly bare at the moment. Just my swivel chair, the washing machine, and a broken printer I'm using as a coffee table.
Well, there is some good news, sir, because we do actually offer a hanging service. I know you don't know your postcode, but we'll get some of our delivery men to follow you home to your flat. At a discreet distance, so you don't have to chat.
Yes, that is always tricky.
They'll carry it up the stairs and into your home, and they'll hang it on the wall you point at. How would that be?
Will you go out with me?
You're listening to The Late One with me, Adrian Lockett. If you're on your own this time of night on Christmas Day, feeling a little bit sorry for yourself, Merry Christmas. As the Beatles sang, look at all the lonely people. They're gloating, basically. They had lots of company. Even the ones that died. George died with his family around him. And John... Well, there was the gunman who was a fan. Anyway, if you are on your own... cheer up, at least you're not at work. Assuming you're in work. which most people are, thankfully, these days. Of course, that only makes it all the harder for those that aren't. Probably quite a lot of younger listeners can't get to sleep, left the milk and custard creams out for Father Christmas. If so, I've got news for you kids. Father Christmas hates custard cream. He'd prefer a sherry. One in the eye for the Muslims. Obviously, I don't want to offend any of our Muslim listeners. But drinking's fine and there's an end to it. You see them over there at that table?
What, them?
Yeah, in the corner by the fruit machine.
What, that little huddle?
Yeah, that's the tsunami lot.
What?
Those are the tsunami charity reps, sewing it all up for the tsunami.
Really? Well, that's not what this conference is supposed to be about. I mean, I'm trying to raise the profile of the Royal National Lifeboat Institution.
Well, you can whistle for it. It's tsunami all the way. Boats are very unfashionable because of the associations.
Well, that's a bit unfair.
They're all there, though. Look at them. Oxfam, Save the Children, Red Cross, CAFOD, all the big boys stitching it up.
Can't we do something?
What, us? The RNLI and the Guide Dogs for the Blind? We can't take them on. No one can. Apparently, breast cancer are spitting tax.
Well, that just makes this whole pan-charity conference a sham.
I know. Some of us are thinking of setting up a fringe.
Really?
Yeah. There's a meeting tonight. It's arranged by a couple of AIDS charities and the Eton College Equipment Fund. We're going to try and arrange a bit of a fight back, get the little people together, you know, Battersea Dogs Home, RSPB, the Campaign for Real Ale. We've got to break the tsunami stranglehold.
What?
Well, it's a mixed metaphor, obviously, but basically we just can't match them for breadth of need.
So, what do we do to fight back with?
What we know, the old ways. Start close to home, sick donkeys, rotting lifeboats, a stately home whose gardens could do with a bit of attention. Seems like small fry, but it's in your backyard, so it seems more important than it is.
I see, yeah.
Then, follow up with areas where you get a vague sense that something might actually be achieved. You know, dialysis machines, guide dogs for the blind, give blood. Achievable goals. It's not painting the fourth bridge like Bangladesh.
Yeah. Feel-good charities.
Exactly, and then finish them off with the you might die of thises.
Of course. Cancer, heart disease, MenCap.
Yeah, the sort of charities that people feel are also a kind of medical insurance.
This is inspiring.
Well, my friend, it's good work we do. Oh, and that's a bad miss.
Yes, not the highest standard of play, but perfectly respectable.
It is perfectly respectable, and these are two perfectly respectable young men. They were born a certain way, presumably, or perhaps they were given dolls as children. Who knows how this happens? And now they've just got to get on with it.
Yes, and what they say to you nowadays, Ted, is if you find yourself of the queer or bent way of thinking, then best thing to do is just come right out and say it. And for goodness sake, don't waste 42 years living a lie.
Peter, those years weren't wasted for you. You won the UK Championship twice.
I know.
But what I didn't realise, Peter, is that these guys, these gay guys, that they won't just come up and do it to you if you don't want them to. As I know many in the sport fear that they will.
They are absolutely scrupulous about that, Ted. They will only do it to people who want it done to them.
Which to me, and I've thought long and hard about this, seems fine. It was all that backs-to-the-wall chap stuff that worried me. Perhaps I took it a bit too literally, because apparently that just doesn't happen.
In jokes, Ted, in the film Deliverance, but not in the Crucible Bar.
I know that now, Peter, and I'm sorry.
Hello and welcome to Imagine That, which, due to a printing error in this week's Radio Times, has been retitled Imagine Hat. That's Imagine Hat. Well, we're always up for a challenge. Joining me, as ever, are the journalist and broadcaster Mark Kendall.
Good evening.
The author and hat wearer June Faulkner.
Good evening.
And finally, Head of Physics at University College London and keen amateur milliner, Professor David Trussell.
Greetings and salutations, people of the noble island of Albion.
Right, so, imagine hat. Mark Kendall, can you imagine a hat?
Can I imagine a hat? Quite a poser. Yes, I'm getting one. It's a big hat, quite massive, and it's ship shape. In fact, not only is it shaped like a ship, it is a ship. A ship with a big hole cut in the bottom where the head would go, like that giant had in Time Bandits. And it's carrying passengers. Yes, hundreds of paying passengers on a lovely hat cruise filling the cabins, except those between decks 10 and 14 and gangways C through G, because those are blocked by the hat wearer's pate.
June Faulkner, can you imagine a hat for us?
Yes, the hat I'm imagining is a beret, a French beret, only instead of that tiny knobbly bit in the middle, there's a grape.
And what do you call it?
A grape beret.
A grey beret?
No, it's mauve and the grape is red.
Oh. Thank you. Professor Trussell?
The hat I'm imagining is tartan. It's spreading laterally from either ear. It seats 3 people and its cushions need plumping.
Sorry, isn't that just a sofa?
Yes, you're right, sorry. All right, here's one for you. It's a hat made entirely out of bismuth, but with ribbons. It started as a hemisphere, but has been manipulated into a series of plane surfaces at alternating oblique and obtuse angles, some of which enter a 5th or even 6th dimension. It reflects light across the whole spectrum, apart from 40 to 70 megahertz, which means looking at it is like seeing a dancing, multicoloured, hyperdimensional fire with a heart that is truest obsidian black, at the same time beautiful yet repellent.
Really?
No, I was really imagining a sort of squash top hat with a baked bean on the rim.
I see. Well, that's all from Imagine Hat, I'm afraid. We'll be back next week with more imaginating, and there's just time to announce that Mr. Dennis Twist from Wolverhampton won last week's listeners' competition with the answer, yes, it's like 2 purple matadors bending forks and eating buttons. Good night.
Thanks. Just a few brief words from me, just to say how incredibly pleased I am to be here and give you just a taster of my vision for the company. Because what I want to get across to you all, every one of you, is just how much the business landscape in our field has changed over the last few years, and to say to you that in the next 5 to 10 years, I see that pace of change very much slowing down and stopping. And it's probably just as well, because to be frank, I lack any kind of bold strategic plan, and you lack the will or desire to implement one. So let's thank our lucky stars that the forthcoming trading environment finally looks like being one in which we can all just switch on the machines, do everything like normal, and take 5. Now, I know I'm a new face around here, so just a word about me. I hope you won't take time to come and see me as I get settled in. The people of this firm aren't its greatest asset. That's the plant and machinery, followed by the databases of customers. So if you do try and come and see me, you'll find my door is always closed. And if you seek to make an appointment, unless you're pretty much as senior as me, I'll try and screw you around till you lose interest. I do, however, suffer fools gladly. I love fools, always have, I'm capricious. I find it very hard to either say what I mean or mean what I say, and when I say I want something done, it doesn't necessarily mean all that much. I want to run an open company here. I want to, but I've previously tended not to. I do have favourites amongst senior management, and regardless of age, ethnicity, or socio-economic background, they will all probably be of my age, ethnicity, and socio-economic background, and see rewards beyond what is rightfully theirs. So together, we look forward to a period that I hope will be summed up by my personal mission statement for the company. Sod it, that'll have to do. Together, we can beat the Friday traffic. Thank you. Who's next?
Hi, do you do cocktails?
We certainly do.
Oh, great. I'll have a slow, comfortable screw up against the wall, please. And, Julie?
Oh, I'd like a screaming multiple orgasm.
And a screaming multiple orgasm for my girlfriend, please.
Ah, yes, I see what you did there. Most amusing.
What? I was just asking for a...
No, we don't do them. We don't do any of those juvenile, offensively named cocktails people only ask for so they can get a kick out of saying something rude to a complete stranger.
No, it's not like that at all. I just like the taste of...
Don't bother, sir. I've heard them all. I just like the taste of a slippery nipple. A bit of sex on the beach never hurt anyone. Rib tickling. Well, this is a decent, respectable establishment. Here's our cocktail menu, and if it's not on there, we don't do it.
Okay. Well, see anything you like, Julie?
This one looks quite nice.
Fine. Okay, well, I'll have a sense of moral responsibility, and my girlfriend wants a cold shower and an early night.
I'm sorry, madam, we're out of cold showers, but perhaps instead you'd like a brisk walk in the countryside.
No, I don't think so. Maybe I'll just have a long, hard think about what I've done.
Dear Gordon, thank you for your very long and comprehensive Christmas newsletter telling me all about what your family have been up to over the last, is it only a year, and yet so many GCSE results and wisdom teeth out. Quite a roller coaster. As this served to replace any conversation we might have had, here is my response. Oh, yeah. Really? Did she really? Yeah. Good. Oh, dear. Good. Oh, by the way, good. Yes, you too. Me, not much. Bye.
Listen to this, darling. 23% of women say that at some point in their lives they've slept with someone purely to advance their career.
Really? Doesn't work.
What? Have you?
Maybe.
Who?
Oh, don't worry, no one you know way before we met.
I didn't know that.
Well, there's so much you don't know about me.
There's not.
Well, you didn't know that.
That's just one thing. I know everything else.
Oh, yeah, what was my school called?
Luton School.
William Morris Community College. What's my favourite film?
Bambi.
Death Wish 2. Where did I get this scar?
What scar?
This scar.
Oh, that scar. You got that from falling awkwardly.
I capsized my canoe whilst whitewater rafting in Zimbabwe.
When were you ever in Zimbabwe?
1996.
What, on your own?
No, with Zach.
Who the hell is Zach?
Just a guy I went out with.
How long for?
8 years.
You never said.
There's so much you don't know about me.
What was he like?
Oh, nice for a goth.
You went out with a goth.
Well, of course, I was a goth.
You were a goth.
There is so much.
A blonde goth.
No, a black-haired goth.
You dyed your hair.
No, I dye my hair now.
You dye your hair.
There is so much you don't know about me.
Well, there's so much you don't know about me as well.
Oh, yeah, try me.
What's my mum's maiden name?
Chidduck.
What was my nickname at school?
You think it was Migsy, but actually it was dog breath.
When did I lose my virginity?
Well, now then.
You don't know.
I do know, it's just there are two answers.
There aren't.
Well, according to you, when you were 16 with Susanna Redvers, but according to independent research, when you were 25 with me.
It was not.
Look, we don't have to carry on playing this game.
No, we don't. Let's just admit there's some things we don't know about one another.
Name one thing I don't know about you.
I've been to Germany.
Yep. School skiing trip to Aschenberg in 1991. You fell over the first day. Didn't hurt yourself, but got so scared you spent the rest of the trip hiding in the bin area behind the cafe. And then, trying to pretend the reason no one ever saw you was you'd been doing the black run with a girl you made up called Helga.
No, actually, wrong.
What, that's not true?
She wasn't called Helga.
Yes, she was. You named her after the character you fancied in Allo Allo, a programme, incidentally, full of sexy French waitresses, and you fancied a Nazi.
God, yes, I did.
See, there's so much you don't know about you.
Oh, and that's a bad miss.
Well, Lawrence Caswell has left a massive opening there for a potent human such as Mike Sylvester.
And while we're on the subject of gay sex, I've never discussed on air with you before, Peter, the reasons for your own decision to come out as a gay beau and how that's made you feel.
Well, Ted, it's simply that you reach a certain time in your life when your wife's about to go public and you think to yourself, I might as well cash in on the exclusive before she does.
That's very moving. Because of course, it caused a crisis in my own life. I was not, for many years, a friend of the gays. I felt it had no place in snooker or any other family sport or pub game. I didn't perhaps understand it as I do now.
You were worried about the booth, weren't you, Ted?
If I'm honest, Peter, that was the nub of it. It's not a big booth, this our booth, but as you pointed out, over that drink I finally allowed you to buy me, if you'd managed to keep your hands off me for 18 years, why on earth would you jump me now, particularly now I'd be on me guard?
And we laughed, didn't we, Ted?
We laughed, and I think that was the turning point. I still had a way to go, but I thought that man, Peter, has been to 3 out of my 4 weddings. Best man at the last 2. I've been to his wedding, albeit we now know that was a lie. Anyway, I have, in my own way, loved this man. That's not a word I'm afraid of. We talked about what I was afraid of and established that you wouldn't do it to me. And I realise that because my friend and professional colleague of many years' standing has announced that he's gay, this is no time for me to turn my back on him.
Thank you, Ted.
Particularly in the booth.
Darling, I've just been to the doctor's. I've got some wonderful news.
Yes?
I'm pregnant.
Oh, Carol, that's wonderful.
Wait, that's not all. You'll never guess.
What?
Well, it's twins.
Oh.
What is it, darling?
Well, it's just... Twins are weird.
Weird?
They're creepy. Everyone knows they're creepy. Nobody really likes twins. They just ask them questions.
Don't be silly, darling.
And it's all they can talk about as well. Oh, the night my mother died, we both woke up at exactly the same time, even though I was in Patagonia and Keith was on the moon. We've got this incredible connection because we're twins. Weirdos. Twins are creepy, boring, self-obsessed weirdos.
Well, ours won't be like that, will they?
You can't be sure. Part of how twins are weird is they make other people weird. You'll see a perfectly normal couple, then they'll have twins and end up calling them Bethany and Ethany and dressing them up in matching lederhosen, which you have to, because you don't know which is which. Even they don't. They just go through each day answering to whatever name they get called first.
Not all twins are identical.
Oh, God, not them. They're worse. You can't tell till it's too late. You'll be talking to a couple of people thinking, what a nice brother and sister, and then you'll ask who's older, and then one of them will say, me. By half an hour! And they'll laugh excludingly, and you're left there thinking, oh my God, what did I say? Did I say anything about twins?
You don't even know any twins.
I do. There's those 2 friends of yours, Alex and Ben. They kiss each other all the time, for God's sake. How weird is that?
Alex and Ben aren't twins, Mark. They're a gay couple.
Well, they look the same. Oh, God, I'm going to have twins. I'm bringing twins into the world. I feel like Joan Collins in that film with the dwarf.
That's enough, Mark. We'll talk about this when you're prepared to be sensible.
Oh, so you're already making her hate me? It started. Happy now, you twins? Oh, we must invite Detective Sergeant Lewis.
Oh, yes. He's become a real pal since we were exonerated over the death of that violinist.
He has. Although...
What?
Well, I've a morbid fear that if Lewis comes, he might feel obliged to bring that lonely old guy he works with.
Oh, what's his name?
Well, that, if you remember rightly, is a moot point.
Oh, yes, because his surname's Morse, and that's pretty much all he's willing to let on.
He's like Lovejoy in that respect.
Yeah, but somehow Lovejoy makes it a fun thing, whereas Morse is just really chippy about it.
Well, maybe his first name's just something really embarrassing, like Gaylord or Urethra.
Yeah, or Dickley, or Fungus.
Yeah, or Lobon or Mongbert. Well, I hope he doesn't come. He's absolutely no fun. He stands around complaining about the beer and saying how widgets don't really work, while he's getting plenty down him, I might add.
Yeah, and he's always nagging Lewis, saying, "What did you bring me here for, Lewis? When can we go to the pub, Lewis?" And Lewis is just standing there mortified.
Yeah, you feel like saying, I don't know if you've noticed, Morse, but Lewis isn't also an alcoholic. And while I've got your attention, can you please stop fiddling with the stereo? Not all of us like opera or Blondie.
It's funny he likes Blondie.
I think it's a Debbie Harry thing. You know how he likes ladies of a certain age. 4 beers in, he just locks onto them and follows them around, boasting about how he saw Copenhagen in the West End and went to the same college as William Waldegrave.
Does it work?
It never works. I was talking to Lewis, and apparently Morse has never pulled despite trying very hard pretty much every night.
I reckon that's why he got that car.
It is. Lewis told me that Morse described it as a pussy wagon, which, as you can imagine, sat incredibly ill with the sort of expression Morse usually uses.
Well, I'm amazed that car's still in one piece, the state he's in when he drives it home. You say to him, "There is such a thing as a taxi, Morse. Stop being so tight."
Well, of course, at my The King and I sing-along party, which Morse had sat through stony-faced.
I mean, he knew it was a The King and I sing-along do. He didn't have to come.
Next morning, there he is on the sofa, in his pants, one sock off, the other half off, duvet long since kicked into the bookshelves, my copy of Octopussy resting on his chin.
What? He thought he was sober enough to read?
I know. Anyway, 2 hours later, he's eaten every Pop-Tart in the house. He's got a can of John Smith's on the go, and he's shouting the answers to Countdown, still in just his pants.
Wasn't that the day the Christchurch Ripper struck twice more?
Yes, it was. And Lewis had to do the televised press conference. So during the numbers game, which Morse doesn't like, basically because he can't do it, he kept switching over and swearing at Lewis for not handling the journalists the way he would.
Oh, poor Lewis. I think we should invite him now and risk Morse. Otherwise, Morse will only be round Lewis's.
Will he?
He goes round there to watch DVDs. He won't buy a player himself, but he's obsessed with the West Wing.
OK, well, let's have them then. Give Mrs. Lewis a night of curry.
Yeah.
That Mitchell and Webb sound starred Robert Webb, David Mitchell, Livia Coleman and James Barkman. It was written by David Mitchell and Robert Webb, James Barkman and Mark Evans, Jesse Armstrong and Sam Bain, Chris Reddy, John Finnemore, Jonathan Dryden-Taylor and Simon Kane. The producer was Gareth Edwards.